Hey, it's Donny Walker. Raining outside. It's November 6th. It's our rainy season now. Last week was quite cold. It was frosty out there and ice on our windows and stuff. So it's nice that it's raining and a bit milder now. Tomorrow is supposed to be a nice day. So looking forward to it. So here we are. The stihl 090. I think it's part 3. Guess I should have figured that out by now, eh? I'm sure it's part 3. So let's get into this 090 and get it ripped apart. I did a couple things between the videos that I'll show you right now, which I didn't want to spend a lot of time and bore you with it. So here we go with the 090 part 3. Thought I'd just give you a little panorama view here. That's my door end. Over there I got shelves of old saws and stuff I'm working on. Just collectibles. And yeah, so let's get down to the bench here, and hopefully you guys see this all okay. I'm having trying to figure out what the best camera angles and whatnot, but I'm not a Hollywood camera dude, man, but we're working on it, eh? Oh yeah, just had a text message from my friend Ben, Vancouver. He is a tree surgeon plus a wicked photographer. How you doing, Ben? Look at that. Brand new Molly OEM cylinder kit for your 480. I'm doing a 2100 for him. He found a 480 at the garbage dump with a burnt top end. The thing's in perfect shape. We're gonna fix it. Off topic, sorry. Okay, let's get to the 090 build. Let's shut the door. Keep the heat in. I just bought a little heater over there, a little Honeywell. Okay, do we want to get zoomed in? Let's go like that. That looks better. Okay, that looks better. Get my ugly mug in there. Okay, here we go. Part 3. So far, we've taken all the top stuff off, the handlebar frame, everything like that. I did not have the right puller here for the flywheel. I had to go to the other shop and get it, and we only have one, so I had to take it back. So while you're gone, between videos, this was all together. I took the flywheel nut off, pretty basic. Don't need to show everyone that, just an impact wrench. Unscrew the fins of the housing there, or the flywheel. Put the puller, you thread it into the center of the flywheel like every other stihl. This was just a different diameter one, okay? I have 3 or 4 of the other ones for different models. But remember, I fixed a few of these years ago, but I've never totally redone one, so this is kind of cool for me too. So let's put this aside. This is a Bosch system. And like I said on the one video, I think that 090 AVs, it says in Mike Akers' stuff that they actually had electronic ignition. Well, this one doesn't. It's got the points and condenser, which is fine. And that's good actually, because I want to show you guys how to set these points and do the timing. And I'm going to try to do it by the original workshop manual that stihl has, and see if I can do it. It's a long time ago, man. You know, points and condensers haven't been out for a long time, and kind of not really in my era. I guess they kind of were in my era when I first started working on saws. You know, what am I going to be, 57? I'm 57, I think. Yeah, I'm 57, I think. So I started working on saws when I was around 12, right? Wow, 45 years. So there's definitely a lot of points and condensers around. I used to set the ones up on McCullough's and a few stills, so we'll get into that later. Okay, so I popped the flywheel off the puller. There's the ignition, points and condenser. This little cover comes off so you can get at your points to set them, and then check your wires and stuff out. The wires for the high tension lead and the switch come through the grommet back here. We'll take this off here in a second and go from there. The piston's still on, which I showed you that has some slight scoring last time. And I was also commented on how they had a 2-piece rod, which was unusual, like a McCullough in a way. The clutch. Now there's a bear to get off. Okay, so the clutch system on these Oh my goodness. Here it all is right here. I've already got it apart, I'm sorry. But I was having a heck of a time with it, trying to remember how to get these off. And it was a little bit seized on. So this was all complete here. I tried the old put the nut on the end, smack it, holding the clutch up, and it finally released. So what they have on these is they first have this collar washer, which goes over to protect your seal. Then they have the clutch bearing, which is a double needle bearing. Okay, very, very neat. This one's still a little rusty. I haven't cleaned it up yet. Then you have your clutch drum and sprocket. These all came with 404 because that's what everyone ran years ago. This thing's still in pretty good shape still. So this is the way it went. So the washer, the clutch bearing, the drum with the sprocket, either 3/8 or 404, depending what you want to run. Then they had another washer here that goes there. Then the clutch. This is a fiber shoe clutch, and has two like Gardner springs, or I don't know. People call them different. Gardner or Gardner, I don't know. Garter springs. Then the clutch goes on. So when you tighten the clutch, these kind of washers inside here kind of press together to hold it onto the crank for grip. That's the only way I could figure it out, like a compression type washer. Okay, so that goes on. Okay, with your springs on each side. Then a spacer washer, this washer, then the nut. So I took it all off, and of course the springs came off. Okay, now this is the hard thing with these, is trying to get the springs back on the clutch. There was a tool from Stihl, which I doubt is available anymore, but if anyone has one out there, it'd be cool. So what it was, I'll explain it to you. It was like a cone, okay? It was like a cone. And you roll the spring down the cone, then it fits into the groove of the clutch. And you do that on each side of it, and then you put it together, okay? So I don't have that tool. If anyone has one, that'd be cool. I'll buy it off you. I don't really need it. I have done these before, a clutch one time, and I actually got it on there. It wasn't easy to do, but I did it. So let's put all our, I like to put everything back together in sequence so I don't forget, but I do have the workshop manual. So let's get all the shoes back in properly in this here, without the springs, okay? Spacer washer, the nut, the washer. Then I'm gonna put like a tie wrap thing through it here. Okay? That's gonna hold this all together exactly the way it came apart. Let's put the springs there too, so I don't lose them. Springs are still in good shape, and the shoes aren't that bad. They got a little bit of wear, but they will do. I doubt this thing's going to be a production saw. Someone might use it for milling. The owner, Tom, and for his uncle, he might do something with it. We'll see how it goes. Okay, so that's all together. That's the whole system there. So yeah, hopefully I can get that tool. If not, I'll grin and bear it and do it. Okay, so let's put the clutch aside. Now we have the bottom end here. Let's get this piston off. And then we're going to take this ignition off here. Okay, so already I need some tools. So I'm going to need some needle nose pliers to get the piston circlips out, and a flat blade screwdriver to get that ignition off. And then we're going to pull this crankcase in half. I kind of know how that crankcase comes in half now, because I have a brand new one sitting beside me there. Pretty handy, eh? Okay, so screwdrivers, needle nose, and another little bag to put the top end parts in. Hope everyone's having a good November so far. Halloween was fun. We only had a couple kids here, man. Kind of funny. Some areas you just don't have them. Okay, so this is a monster piston, eh? It's like a small block Chevy. Okay, so there's a circlip. Doink into the bag. I like to put all the parts in bags and label them. So that way, if you've been working on, or something's been sitting around for a while, you don't forget where everything goes. Pin's a little tight. There we go. Not bad. Oh yeah, and I told you in the last video too, they have thrust washers on the top, which is bizarre, sort of like Yamaha KT100 kart engines or some older type motors. Put all this in the bag, and that way it stays clean, out of the place. Look at that, eh? See a bit of scoring on the intake. If you remember the last video, I said on the cylinder there was just a little nick in the bottom corner. Now I don't think that's from intake wear. It was just a little bad piece of chrome there, but I'll fix that up so that won't keep scoring like that. Okay, so there's our rod. Exposed cylinder gasket. Oh yeah, check out the screwdriver. How many small engine mechanics love these old tuning screwdrivers that had the clip on it to fit in your pocket and had the little magnet on the end to grab pieces? Best little tuning screwdrivers going. This came from Western Power Marine, which is where Walker's Saw Shop is now. Johnny bought that building off Bill Mackay, which runs Fedgy and Gunderson falling contract business. And there's the old phone number, 758-5285. That was my dad's phone number at work for many years when he worked for Fedgy and Gunderson. So that number still remains in my head. Can't remember the vented gas cap that I wanted to tell someone about earlier, but I can remember that number. So that's funny. They still had that same number they had 50 years ago. Wish someone else would make these screwdrivers again. Very handy for small engine mechanics. Okay. Put our bag with our wrist pin, circlips, and bearing and thrust washers into the box with the piston. Now let's take this ignition off. Ignition has 2 screws. We use this long flat blade. I use these. You guys will probably go, holy crap, Donny, that's a long screwdriver. Well, it is because on saws and stuff like that, you need a long screwdriver for like top covers and adjusting the stuff. This is a little long, but I'm telling you, it's perfect. And these type of screwdrivers from Snap-on are called cabinet makers screwdrivers. You notice the blade of the screwdrivers are quite thin compared to wide type ones, so that they were made for cabinet workers. You see the difference? There's a Snap-on regular one, right? And there's that one. These are great screwdrivers. You can get them in different lengths. I just love Snap-on. Some people hate the price, but I don't, because they replace them every time there's something wrong with them. Let me get another bag, and I want to put these little screws and the ignition in it. Oh. Wow. Bingo. There's one behind me. Go figure, eh? Oh, yeah. By the way, I changed my hat earlier. I was wearing my Husqvarna racing hat that my dad and mom brought me back from Charlotte Speedway from Joe Gibbs Racing. My dad and my mom went to Charlotte, North Carolina to a NASCAR race. And when Joe Gibbs Racing was sponsoring, was it Bobby Labonte? Yeah, I think so. And my dad got to meet them all. They were hanging out in like a booth up top at the Speedway with Dave Zerfoss, which used to be the president of Husqvarna for North America. He was a really nice fella. I went to Charlotte as well one time, racing go-karts at Charlotte Speedway, and that's where I actually was the top Canadian driver, and I won a trip to Japan to race in the World Cup race of the Ayrton Senna Memorial Race. I was very proud of that. I wasn't like a front runner or anything, you know, but it was the thrill of my lifetime to go to race for Canada in Japan in a go-kart. It was awesome. And they paid for it. I just had to pay for a few things like my engines and go-kart. Okay, sorry, off topic. The coils bolts are off. Now I'm going to pull the wires through, and we're gonna pull it right out of the crankcase here. Okay, so obviously the spark plug boot ain't gonna fit through there, so I'm gonna have to quickly take that off. Let's get this grommet here through there first, and let's see how these ones come off. Do they unscrew? Oh, they do. Maybe. Can't remember. No, that's not unscrewing. No, how do I want to do that? Should we just pull it right through? Maybe it'll pull through. I don't want to wreck it. Okay. Let's put a little lube through it and see if that'll help. Pull it right out. Winter's coming. Hope everyone's got their firewood in. If you burn wood, I miss burning wood. I don't burn wood. I used to. I grew up burning wood. You know, we did like, I don't know, 4 or 5 cords a year at my mom and dad's place. We had we had 3 wood stoves in our house years ago at the old Walker Saw Shop. We had one old one in the shop. So when the guys came in after falling for the day, they would stand around the wood stove, have themselves a beer, and me and my dad would fix their saws. That was the kind of service we did. It was awesome. Guys would come in, we'd talk, bullshit, you know, have a beer. Never got drunk. We just had one, just social. And that's just the way it was. They would get warm because they were cold, working in the rain all day, and they appreciated it. We'd get their saw done right away. They'd take it to work next day. And that was a great, very good service. But then later on in years, we got too busy with more lawn and garden stuff and whatnot, and we kind of stopped doing that. And it's not good to someone leave your business having a beer or so and they're driving. So there we go. Pulled the ignition out. Got it out of there. It's a one-piece Bosch. I got the cap in there and the screws. Let's put this in the bag. And we know where it is. I could convert this to electronic ignition, but I kind of want to leave it original. I'll make it work. Coil, bam, gone. Okay, so what do we got here now? We have a crankcase, and the oil pot's still kind of together. See, these got end play? That's because they have needle bearings. You know, I don't think you can, and that's one of the reasons they have the thrust washers probably in the top of the rod with the piston. So, because if this moved around and it didn't have those, you'd have some weird wear going on somewhere. Okay, so let's look at this new one. Yeah, just happened to have it, eh? This is the new crankcase. So, the ignition side comes off with these studs with these new bearings already in it. And here's the clutch side one with the bearing already in it. So obviously there's a gasket between here and nut and bolts on this side to take off. I'll also note, if you notice right here on this new one, this fitting down here in the crankcase with this barb fitting over there. This is how they run the automatic oiler, through crankcase pressure. They did that on a lot of stills. Some of them had problems with that, like old, what models were they? The models that used to have the oiler thing in the front, like 045s and stuff. This thing's ran like on a cam thing off the crankshaft, or pressure. And if those O-rings leaked and stuff, your chain oil would leak into the motor and the thing would hydraulic. You'd think like, oh my God, the thing's seized. But no, it's from the chain oil running into the motor. Kind of a poor design, but then again, it worked efficient when it worked. So anyways, let's put that away. let's get back to this one. So what I'm seeing with this, after showing you this actually, is on this side, there's multiple 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bolts that I got to take off, and this hopefully should just pull apart. Let's see if that works. Oh man, okay, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so first I gotta get at these bolts. This one's got a bit of crud around it. I actually did blow this off a little bit. I should have power washed this thing when I had it apart, but I didn't. Okay, let's get these going. Okay. 10 millimeter. Let's get it there. My handy dandy snap-on impact. Love this thing. I used to have Makita ones, I still do, but the snap-on one's awesome. Hold and charge, excellent. Has great torquing power. You gotta watch it actually with it. I don't like to torque things with a impact wrench. I run the screws and stuff in normally. Then I'll do it all by hand or with a torque wrench. And don't ask me what a cylinder of a chainsaw should be for torque, because you know what? Most companies don't provide that. Husky, I believe, still does, and it's around 130 inch-pounds, I think, if you convert it from Newton meters. Now there we go. So there's the 5 bolts loosened. I'm gonna grab a bag now to put them in. I should have had a couple of bags here, eh? And there I go again. Donny Walker, he's not too organized. But we know what we're doing. Let's bring a couple of bags over. We're gonna need them. I keep all these old bags from parts, eh? Husqvarna bags, Stihl bags, you know, Ziploc bags, whatever, right? Okay. So let's get these 5 nuts off. Now I notice there's washers underneath them as well, and there's dowel pins holding this together. Okay, let's get these all off. Okay, you want to be that way? Oh, there's one. Two. Come on out of there. Okay. 3. Come on. 4. See, a little magnet on the screwdriver does the job, eh? Telling ya, they're the best little tuning screwdrivers. Come on there. And always on a video. Okay, there's 5. Okay, let's get the washers out. I got a better magnet. This one isn't that strong, but it's very handy for little parts. I got a better one here that I'll bring over, and we'll get them out of there. You can apparently Tom, the fellow that owns this saw, he bought all these new parts from Australia from some online company. I've never had to really look for that or source it, because I don't really do a lot of these and I don't really want to. Just only for selected people that maybe it's memorabilia stuff for, right? You know, don't have time to do this stuff. Like this takes hours and hours, man. Okay, come on, washer. There we go. There's another one. Forceps. Okay, great tool for small engine work, by the way. Or as some people would call roach clips. Cheech and Chong, eh? Cheech and Chong got these. Anyways, so does Donny Walker. Okay, fifth washer. Let's get it. Oh, there we go. Fifth washer. Okay. Let's get those in the bag because I'm telling you, those are important. Not that I can't buy 5 mil or 6 mil nuts, but they're just a nice size with no flanges, and they got the nice little lock washers. Okay, so set those over there. That's all of them off now. So how are we going to get this apart? Wow. Let me think about it here. Whew. Hasn't been apart for like, what, 50 years? Let me think about it. So this separates from that part there. So do I simply hit this with a bit of a mallet and see if it'll spread apart? Of course, I gotta read that now. Got a plastic hammer type thingy here. And a regular one too, which has been falling apart on me. Should take this back for warranty from Snap-on, but they'll say I abused it, which I kind of did. Okay, so let's just give this a couple little taps. Ooh, it's starting to separate. Okay, the oil hose from the crankcase to the oiler is still hooked up. We take that off. It's rotten anyways. Rotten. Hard as a rock. Okay, let's give this a couple more little beats. Coming. This case is no good either, so not a big deal. I'm not reckoning it. Look at that. Slid right off. Wow. Corrosion in the bottom. One needle bearing on that on the flywheel side. There's two on the clutch side, which makes sense. A lot of stress because they ran big bars on these old units. Look at that. Is that a cool crankshaft or what? Okay. Two needle bearings are still good. Little spacers in between. That's really cool. Oh, another bearing fell out on that side. Oh, there was two on this side. Didn't even look at that. So they got like a sleeve in the crankcase for the bearings. Of course they would. They wouldn't be running on magnesium. They got to be running on steel. Okay, there's it apart. There's our two bearings on each side. A con rod that is got bolts, which is in good shape. So yeah, let's just compare this to the new one now. Make sure it's got two bearings on each side. Come on. Oh yeah, baby. It's got them. Of course it does. This is an OEM unit. Nice. Okay, we're getting somewhere here. So, here we go. That was interesting. We got that came apart pretty easy. So these dowels here, they weren't like pressed so hard that it wasn't going to be impossible to get apart. When you have other types of saws that don't have like needle bearings, I guess, that have roller bearings, you got to remember your roller bearings are actually pressed onto the crankshaft and pressed into the crankcase, so they're harder to get apart. Yep, very nicely made. Amazing for the technology in the years. Okay, where did this little thing come from? What is that? That looks like a clip off a pen. What happened here? Oh. Put it in the box anyways. All right. So this side, I see it's got this kind of rubber thing in here for suspension. I see. That's cool. But what do we really need from this side now then? So from this side now, then we obviously need the dog. The new case half has that oil pipe. So I'm going to put a new line there for the oiler. Then I'm going to take this side off here for the oil reserve. And I'll have to check the gasket kit out if it came with this gasket. Then I need to take the bottom here off also, which is your fuel tank. I don't know if I have that gasket in the gasket kit. Let's check it out. If not, I got to get hold of my friend Tom, and we're gonna have to order a couple more parts from Australia. So let's go. Let's grab the gasket kit then and see what's in it. Okay. Oh my goodness, what do we got here? Okay, this is interesting. When this crankcase came, it also came with all the brand new bolts and washers, which you just see me take apart. A new grommet where the wires go through. That's cool. And these new type fiber washers that here would go between the crankshaft and the bearing. Yeah, neat. Okay, so that's cool. Now let's see what's in the gasket kit. Most still gasket kits are cool because they come with the gaskets and the seals. I wish Husqvarna would have done that years ago, but they never did, which is dumb. Okay, so we have 2 seals. Okay. Tom Phillips. 1 crankcase gasket. And the grommet. Okay, so we don't have the tank gasket or the oiler reservoir gasket. Shoot. Maybe I'll check online tomorrow when I go to the Walker Saw Shop to see if they're still available. If not, Tom, we're going to have to get them suckers, buddy. And let me go a little farther just to see in case we need something else. We don't want to order one thing and need 2 things. Okay, let's put that aside. Our gasket kit. There's our bolts and washers from the other set. And you know what? These bolts and washers, because I took that apart like that, I'm going to put these crank bearings in here and these washers before they slide off again and I lose them. Okay. There's that washer. I see it's got a little beveled edge to it, which would obviously go in towards the crank. I've done enough go-kart motors, old ones, new ones, and been around enough 2-strokes, dirt bikes, and whatnot that I kind of understand almost every type of build that you see. It's very interesting, though, the way engineers come up with stuff. You look at this crankshaft. That sucker's long, eh? What is that? Almost like 10 inches long? Yeah, amazing. Just a nice unit. Cool. Okay, so do we end this as part 3 and continue on later? I think so. We've got it right down now, man. I just got to get this off, the gas tank bottom off. But you know what? I'm gonna wait till I have the gaskets, or at least I can put all that back together without putting that stuff on, though. Okay. We can take the back yoke off here, though. We have a brand new one of these. But another thing is, I just remembered, is we're also going to need a couple mounts for this, the AV mounts. So this is the negative wire with the top bolt of this yoke. That's the negative wire for the switch. Okay. Let's get the 2 bottom screws out. Hey, I was dreading this build in a way, man. That's why I put it off so long, Tom. But you know what? I kind of like it. It's interesting, and you know me. I'm up for a challenge. Why not? You know, I'm not like the old saw mechanics that have been around for years that worked on all these old things years ago because you had to. Like one of the reasons my dad started walkerizing saws, which we named it. Basically, it was actually improving saws. You got to think about it. In the old days, you had to come up with stuff to at least keep friggin' saws running for a day. Guys used to pack 5-6 saws into a count. Now they pack 2 saws in because they're so much more reliable. But in the early days, guys had a lot of saws. But most guys actually didn't even have their own saws. In the early days around BC here on Vancouver Island, you had contractors like Fedgy and Gunnarsson Contracting, Challenger Contracting, Nizer Sales did some too, where they actually rented, and we did as well. Me and Johnny had a company called Walkerized Contracting that we rented saws to a logging camp. So me and Johnny had two different programs. We had Northwest Bay, which had about 10 fallers. So we had about 20 saws. Everyone had 2. So you had one if you got blown out that day, you needed your other saw for another section of the woods where you're going to go to. And the next time your saw would still be in the woods where you left it from when it wasn't windy. So we had Northwest Bay, Alfred Bay. I used to do one a place at Pitt Lake. A couple old Finnish guys used to actually do it there. And me and Johnny scored it through Lyle, a friend of ours that owns Alfred Bay, or Island Pacific Equipment, if you want to call it that now. They've changed their name a bunch of times. But great customers, great people. And what I would do is, where else do we have? Northwest Bay, Pitt Lake. I guess that was it. Oh, and a couple of the sorts, logging sorts. So what we do is we charge daily per saw, like $50 a day, and we would provide the files, the chains, wedges, stuff like that. So it was a pretty good business, and that's where guys in the early days never actually had their own saws. So if you worked for Fedgy in these big camps, like some of these camps on this island here, I can't believe them. I think my dad told me Kelsey Bay, Eve River and stuff, they had like, close to 100 fallers, man, between the 2 divisions. Then other companies had like tons of fallers, man. So that was a lot of saws, right? And even when I worked in Sabalas, that's what I worked for, was Fedgy and Gunnarsson in those days, F&G they called it. And that's what I did. I just went in as a contractor employee, and did only saws. That's all I did was fix the saws for the guys and hand out chains and files. Where I think I told you the story of the first saws we ran. This one right behind me, 056 Magnums. Then we switched to 066s. And I didn't have much work to do then because they didn't break down. Probably the best saw ever in the world, the 066 Magnum 2, whatever you want to call it. 660. Whatever you want to call it. 064 was before that. The little red dot ones. But yeah, these were before that. And a couple of the old followers I've talked to that ran these, they went, oh my God. If I could get a helicopter to take it up to the setting to me, it would be cool. But we really didn't have that in those days, so I had to pack the friggin' thing. So men were men in those days, and whatever else was scared, whatever that old joke is. Anyways, that's enough for me today. That's part 3 of the 090 build. And we'll get the rest of this apart in the next one. Then I'll show you, start assembling the new one. Okay? So, hey, keep your saw in the wood, stick in the ice, rub on the road. Check out the walkersawshop.com online store. And you notice my glasses are different today. Because my daughter was giving me crap. She says, Donny, Daddy, you got to stop wearing those other glasses. You look like Bubbles off of Trailer Park Boys. And if anyone has watched that show, they know exactly what I'm talking about. Here's a funny story. A bunch of years ago, I went to this local pub, and Leahy and what's the guy with the big belly? He never wears his shirt. Oh, anyways, they were doing a comedy act. Well, it was in my drinking days. I had a few drinks that night, and my ex-wife wanted to do some dancing, so we were up dancing a little bit to some of the band that was on between the comedy show. And Leahy came out and then took over my dance with my woman. And it was weird. I kind of got upset because I was drinking then. And I was going to punch him out. I ended up getting kicked out of the bar. It's a true story, man. I almost punched out Leahy in Nanaimo. Anyways, shouldn't be telling those war stories or stuff like that, but whatever. Life has a lot of different things happen in life. Life is good now. I'm being a good guy and being sober and try my best, man. You know, it's not the easiest thing in the world, as most of you know, but I'm doing it, and you can do it too. If you need any help with it, give me a call or send me a message. Okay, that's enough. Keep us on the way, sticking the ass, rubbing the road. Have a great day. What day is it? It's Tuesday. No, Monday. Monday. That's right, Monday. Monday the 6th. That's it. It's my dog's birthday today. He's 2 years old, a little fuzzy wuzzy that you've seen in my video. So I got to take him out for a walk and give him a couple treats, eh? You know, maybe cook him a steak or something, eh? Treat him good, eh? Instead of that old crappy dog food he eats all the time, eh? Okay, have a good night. Bye.